Do you ever feel like you're trapped behind a glass wall? You can see native English speakers on the other side. They're laughing, connecting, speaking so easily, so effortlessly. You can hear them. You understand the words. You've spent months, maybe even years, learning grammar rules, memorizing thousands of vocabulary words. But when you try to speak, you hit the wall. The words get stuck. Your speech is slow, broken, and unnatural. You're translating every single word in your head, and it's exhausting. What if I told you that the secret to shattering that glass wall isn't more grammar rules or a longer vocabulary list? What if the secret is a simple technique that your brain is already built to use, a technique that professional musicians and memory experts use every day? Stay with me, because in this video, I'm going to share a story about this one powerful secret that can completely transform the way you learn and speak English forever. Hello, and welcome to English Journey. My name is Celine, and this is the place where we help you grow personally while you master English. Our goal is to empower you, not just to learn a language, but to build a better life. That's why we release new videos every single day, packed with powerful lessons and motivation to keep you going on your incredible journey. If you're ready to break through that wall and finally unlock your fluency, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you never miss one of our daily lessons. Trust me, you'll want to stick around until the very end. The story I'm about to tell you is filled with practical steps you can start using today. Plus, I've prepared a short quiz at the end to help you remember the most important takeaways from our lesson. Are you ready? Let's begin. Chapter 1: Alex and the Wall of Frustration. Let me introduce you to Alex. Alex was a dedicated English learner, probably a lot like you. Every day, he would spend hours studying. His desk was covered in grammar books. He had apps on his phone that quizzed him on vocabulary. If you asked him to explain the difference between the past perfect and the present perfect, he could probably give you a textbook perfect answer. He knew hundreds of phrasal verbs and idioms. On paper, Alex was an excellent student. But Alex had a secret that made him feel like a failure. He couldn't speak. Whenever he tried to have a real conversation, his mind would go blank. He would open his mouth, and the perfect sentences he built in his head would crumble. His speech was slow and robotic. He would say things like, "I want to go to the cinema." Each word was a separate, heavy block he had to lift and place one by one. It was grammatically perfect, but it sounded completely unnatural. He would listen to native speakers in movies and on podcasts, and he felt a growing sense of despair. They spoke so fast. It felt like their words were all blended together. He would try to catch individual words, but would quickly get lost, overwhelmed by the speed and the rhythm. He thought, "I will never be able to speak like that." This was his glass wall. He was smart, he was dedicated, but he was trapped. He was focusing so hard on the individual bricks, the single words, the isolated grammar rules, that he couldn't see the beautiful house that the language was supposed to build. He was on the verge of giving up. But what Alex discovered next wouldn't just give him hope. It would hand him the key to unlocking the door in that wall. Chapter 2: The Discovery of the Key. One evening, while scrolling aimlessly online, feeling defeated, Alex stumbled upon a video. It wasn't about grammar or vocabulary. It was a video by a memory expert explaining how our brains learn. The expert explained a concept called chunking. She said that our short-term memory, the part of our brain that processes new information, is incredibly fast, but also incredibly small. It can only hold about 4 chunks of information at a time. She gave an example. She showed a long number on the screen, 081127882. "Trying to remember this is hard," she said, "because it's 9 separate pieces of information. Your brain can't hold it all at once." But she continued, "What if we do this?" She then grouped the number 0, 81, 127 to 882. "Now, it's not 9 things," she explained. "It's 3 chunks. Suddenly, it's easy to remember." "Chunking," she said, "is the process of taking small, individual pieces of information and grouping them into larger, meaningful units." Alex sat up. A spark ignited in his mind. He had been trying to speak English by remembering single digits, individual words. I want to go to. That was 5 things. No wonder his brain felt overloaded and slow. What if he could learn to see the chunks in English? He started researching furiously, but this time he searched for language chunking. He found articles and videos from language coaches, all saying the same thing. A language chunk is simply a group of words that are very often used together by native speakers. They can be collocations, phrasal verbs, or entire phrases that act as a single unit. The articles argued that it's actually easier and better to learn a whole chunk or phrase than to learn individual words. Why? Because when we speak our native language, we don't think in single words. We think and speak in chunks. Alex realized that this was the key he had been searching for. He wasn't just learning wrong. He was trying to force his brain to work in a way it wasn't designed to. He had spent years collecting individual bricks. Now, it was time to learn how to see the pre-built parts of the wall. But just knowing what a chunk wasn't enough. The next discovery Alex made was the true secret to fluency. It wasn't just about the words in the chunk. It was about something else entirely. Chapter 3, the aha moment, the music of English. As Alex delved deeper, he found a lesson from a British English coach. This coach said something that changed everything for Alex. Fluency, the coach said, is not in the words. It's in the rhythm. It's in the music of the language. He used the exact sentence Alex struggled with. I want to go to Paris. A learner says, I want to go to Paris, the coach explained. It's monotone. There's no rhythm. But a native speaker, he said, and then his voice changed, says it like this. I want to go to Paris. I want to go to Paris. Alex played it back, again and again. The coach was right. The words want to blended together to make a new sound. Wanna. The word to became so small and quiet it almost disappeared. The coach explained that this was a combination of 3 crucial things. Word stress. Some words in the chunk are emphasized, while others are unstressed. In I want to go to Paris, the stress is on go and Paris, while wanna and to are unstressed. Intonation. The pitch of his voice went up and down, creating a melody, a rhythm. It wasn't flat, it had a musical shape. Connected speech. Words linked together to create smooth, flowing sounds, like wanna for want to or gonna for going to. The coach pointed out that words like wanna and gonna don't actually exist in the English dictionary. They are just the sounds that connected speech creates. This was Alex's true aha moment. He had been fighting against the very nature of spoken English. He was trying to pronounce every single word perfectly, while native speakers were focused on the rhythm of the chunk. Fluency wasn't about perfect grammar or a huge vocabulary. It was about mastering the sound and music of the language's natural phrases. He realized that his frustration with not understanding native speakers came from the same problem. He was listening for individual words, but native speakers were speaking in musical chunks. It was like trying to understand a song by listening for each individual note instead of hearing the melody. Alex felt a wave of relief and excitement. He finally understood. The path to fluency wasn't about studying harder, it was about studying smarter. It was time to put this theory into practice. Chapter 4, Building the Bridge, Chunk by Chunk. Alex completely changed his learning strategy. He decided to become a chunk hunter. He was no longer collecting words, he was collecting chunks. His new approach was inspired by how professional piano teachers teach their students. They first show the student the entire song to understand the mood and the big picture. Then, they practice one small part, one measure at a time. After all the small chunks can be played, they are combined until the entire piece is connected. Alex decided to do the same with English. First, he changed how he listened. When he watched movies or listened to podcasts, he stopped trying to understand every single word. Instead, he listened for the chunks. He listened for phrases that came up again and again. He started to notice patterns everywhere. Phrases like, "By the way," "I'm looking forward to," "Could you tell me?" "On the other hand," "At the end of the day." He started a new notebook, his chunk book. Every time he heard a new, interesting chunk, he would write it down. But he didn't just write the words. He would also make little notes about the rhythm. He would underline the stressed words, just as the coach had shown him. Second, he changed how he practiced speaking. He used a technique called listen and copy. He would take a chunk from his notebook, find it in the movie or podcast, and play that little piece of audio again and again. He would listen carefully to the rhythm, the music of the phrase. Then, he would try to copy it exactly. He recorded his own voice and compared it to the original, trying to match the intonation and connected speech. He practiced "I want to go to" until "I want to go" felt natural. He practiced "I don't have any money" until the rhythm of "I don't have any" flowed off his tongue. He felt like a musician practicing scales. It was repetition, but it was meaningful repetition. He was building the neural connections in his brain, moving these chunks from his struggling short-term memory into his vast long-term memory, where they could be accessed effortlessly. Third, he changed how he learned grammar. He stopped memorizing abstract rules. Instead, he learned grammar through chunks. For example, instead of studying the complex rules of the future perfect tense, he found a resource, like an AI tool such as ChatGPT, and asked it to generate a list of sentences using that tense in a natural context. He would get sentences like, "By next year, I will have finished my studies." "She will have saved enough money by then." "They will have been married for 10 years in June." He would practice saying these full sentences, these chunks, over and over again. Through this repetition of the structure in different contexts, his brain began to understand the grammar subconsciously. Finally, he changed how he learned vocabulary. No more single words on flashcards. When he learned a new word, like livid, he would immediately look for chunks it belonged to. He would search for or ask an AI to give him example sentences, like "The coach was livid when the team lost the game." He learned words with their friends, their natural collocations. This gave every new word a context, which acted like a memory superglue, making it much easier to remember and use correctly. Chapter 5: The Transformation, A New World. Months passed. Alex's journey was not a magical overnight fix. It was a process of deliberate practice. But the change was astounding. One day, he was in a video call with a native speaker. He was asked what he did over the weekend. Without thinking, the words just flowed out of his mouth. "Oh, not much. To be honest, I was planning on going to the cinema, but at the end of the day, I just decided to stay home and catch up on some reading." He paused. He hadn't translated a single word in his head. He hadn't thought about grammar. He had just spoken. He had used 4 or 5 chunks, not much, to be honest, planning on, at the end of the day, catch up on, and connected them. It felt easy, natural. It felt like fluency. The glass wall was gone. It hadn't shattered in one loud explosion. It had dissolved piece by piece with every chunk he had learned and practiced. Conversations were no longer scary. They were exciting opportunities to use his chunks and discover new ones. He was no longer just a student of English. He was a user of English. He could finally connect with people on the other side. Chapter 6: Beyond English, a Skill for Life. Alex realized that chunking was more than just a language learning technique. It was a fundamental skill for learning anything complex. Whether it was understanding a difficult topic at work or learning a new skill like playing the guitar, the process was the same. First, you look at the big picture to understand the context. Then, you break it down into the smallest manageable chunks. You practice those chunks until they become second nature. Finally, you start connecting the chunks together to build the complete skill. It was a roadmap for mastery. Recap and takeaways. Alex's story is a powerful reminder that sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from the simplest changes in perspective. So, what are the key takeaways from his journey? Stop learning word by word. Your brain is designed to see patterns in groups, so start thinking in and collecting chunks, groups of words that naturally go together. Fluency is in the rhythm, not the rules. Pay attention to the music of English, word stress, intonation, and connected speech. That's the real key to sounding natural. Listen and copy. Don't just listen passively. Actively listen for chunks and practice, copying the way native speakers say them. Record yourself and compare. Learn grammar and vocabulary in context. Learn new words and grammar structures as part of larger chunks and sentences. This makes them easier to remember and use correctly. Be patient and practice deliberately. Just like a musician, you need to practice the small pieces again and again until they become effortless. This moves your knowledge into your long-term memory and creates true fluency. If this story resonated with you and you feel inspired to start your own chunking journey, please show your support by hitting that like button and subscribing to English Journey. Remember, we have a new lesson for you every single day. Quiz. And now for our quick quiz to help you lock in this knowledge. I want you to answer these questions in the comments below. There are no right or wrong answers for some of these, just a chance for you to think and share. What is a language chunk? Can you give an example of a chunk you often use or hear? According to this story, what are the 3 elements that make up the music of English? Describe the listen and copy method. How can you use it in your own studies? Why is learning vocabulary in chunks, like heavy rain, better than learning single words, like heavy and rain, separately? I am so excited to read your answers in the comments. Take a moment now to share your thoughts. I'll be reading and responding to as many as I can. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. Remember, mastering English is not about being perfect. It's about progress, connection, and finding smarter ways to learn that work with your brain, not against it. You are capable of so much more than you think. Start small. Find one chunk today. Listen to its music. Practice it. Make it your own. That is how you build fluency, one chunk at a time. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, and I will see you tomorrow for our next lesson right here on English Journey. Keep learning and keep growing. Bye for now.